I call the member for South Brisbane.
Speaker, we're joined in the gallery today by members of the Kashmir community here in Brisbane, as well as supporters from the Pakistani community. I join the Kashmir community, as well as human rights advocates and UN special rapporteurs, in condemning the violence and repression that has unfolded in Kashmir over many decades, and I share my call for Zadi, freedom. It has now been nearly 4 years since the revocation of the special status of Kashmir by the Indian government, one of the greatest attacks on the sovereignty of Kashmiris in modern times. The revocation has led to a new wave of repression and violence, restrictions on freedom of expression, the press and the internet, and detention of journalists. The UN Special Rapporteur on Minority Issues said the loss of autonomy and the imposition of direct rule by the government of New Delhi suggests that the people of Jammu and Kashmir no longer have their own government and have lost power to legislate or amend laws in the region to ensure the protection of their rights. Forced demographic changes, new rules allowing outsiders to buy property and register to vote in Kashmir, and literal bulldozer politics is stripping Kashmiris of their land, homes and resources. The rates of sexual violence against Kashmiri women has been among the highest in the world's conflict zones. The perverse use of the Public Safety Act has led to illegal arrests and detention of Kashmiri journalists, stripping people of their voice and preventing alerts of violence and atrocities reaching the world. I know that members of the Kashmiri diaspora here, the broader South Asian diaspora and people worldwide are watching on in horror. And it is not everyday people who are responsible for the violence and oppression, but rather military and political elites that benefit from dispossession and violence, while everyday people suffer. The Kashmiri community in Kashmir and around the world and here have remained defiant and strong and continue to resist. They continue to fight for their freedom and sovereignty. With the G20 soon being hosted in the Kashmir city of Srinagar, the Kashmiri diaspora is calling on the Australian government to raise urgently the issue of Kashmir with the Indian government, and I add my voice to these calls to immediately lift the military siege and withdraw the estimated 900,000 Indian Army troops currently stationed in Kashmir, halting demographic changes that are forcing Kashmiris off their land, reinstating Article 370 to grant Kashmir autonomy, releasing Kashmir journalist Fahad Shah and all other journalists and human rights defenders, allowing freedom of speech and harassment of political activists and human rights activists and journalists, and to investigate and prosecute all cases of sexual violence allegedly perpetrated by state and non-state actors and provide reparations to victims. My immense gratitude to the Kashmir community for joining us here today and for your ongoing fight for freedom and justice, which we wholeheartedly support you in. Zadi.
Deputy Speaker.